Marhaba ya jama'a. Right now I want to talk about dipthongs in Arabic. Diphthong is a funny sounding word and it's a fancy term for the sound of two vowels being pronounced back to back in the same syllable. We have plenty of these in English and many other languages in words like shout or coin or cloud. And indeed, each of those we have two-ish vowel sounds that run kind of right into each other, right? Ow, oi, ow. And English language spelling conventions are a bit of a mess, right? We can't necessarily predict what those letter combinations are going to sound like when we look at a word on a page, but luckily in Arabic we can read and represent those sounds fairly accurately in a text, which means that with some practice we can decode and convert them also into speech pretty easily. Simply put, if we have two vowel sounds or vowelish letters back to back, we're going to pronounce those vowel sounds back to back. The important thing to remember is that we're always going to express that second vowel in our two vowel cluster with a letter, a waw or a ya or an alif, as opposed to a short diacritical mark like a fatha or a dhamma or a kasra, because we can't ever have two short vowel markers on the same letter. Take a look at some examples here. We have bait with the a sound, and we need to have that ya there because it wouldn't make sense to have a fatha and a kasra on the ba, right? It would be two tasks that can't really be done at the same time for that letter. So we need the fatha to express the a part of that diphthong, plus the y to express the second vowel, right? Bait. So it runs together. And if we wish, we can add a sukoon to those long vowels, as I've done here in a couple of these cases, just to indicate that that long vowel is not doing the work of its own syllable, right? It's just a continuation of the syllable. Here's a second example, thawb. And again, we can't have a fatha and a dhamma on the tha because it would just get crowded, right? It would be too much work for one poor letter. We can also have a diphthong syllable that consists of two long vowel letters if we have a ya or a waw that's doing consonant work. Take a look at these examples down here. We've got buyut, where we have a ya followed by a waw, so we get that u sound. Maybe if we were transliterating that, we would want to write a y instead of a double I or a double E because it is doing consonant work, right? It has kind of a consonant-y quality. Or another example, bawab, right? Where our wow, which has vowel functions sometimes, is functioning a little bit more like a consonant, like a W, perhaps, in English. Technically, as I said, if we were doing a transcription here with all the short vowels, we would see a dhamma on this ya or a fatha on that waw, but you could also argue that that information is somewhat redundant because of the second long vowel in that cluster that comes after the beginning of the syllable. If we're reading a text without all of the diacritics, which is most texts that aren't targeted for learners like ourselves, then we can accurately predict that sound combination, u or wa, even in the absence of those short vowel markers because we have the two vowel letters expressing that same idea.